I'm trying to preserve the culture that I grew up in. It feels like it's in danger of being lost. You know, the culture was an agrarian, working class community, and all the connections and all the places between them, and it's like there's an outdated county map in my head, and no one else can see it anymore, but I still see it, and I still see the landscape with that map on top of it. And I'm just trying to preserve those parts that, I remember that corner, and it's like now it's gone, that corner's obliterated, that there was a big stand of bur oaks there or something, and now they're gone. And it's like nobody knows that was there, but I know it was in that corner on that road before. Just like a language that's, not as many people are speaking anymore, and I feel like I got to preserve it, somehow. This is called Lester, about my great uncle. Standing around the kitchen table at the farm, everyone dressed to attend Grandpa's funeral, I turned to great uncle Lester, black suit coat over his stripy bib overalls, said, "See you at church." "I'm not going," he said. Stunned, I gasped, "Really?" "I don't like their music," he said. But Mom said later it was 'cause he'd have to take off his cap inside. He was tall and lean, face like a hawk, dark wounded eyes below long bushy brows, not much hair left on top. Lester got pulled over at the stop sign down at Oris Sletta's. He rolled down his window and said, "What'd you pull me over for?" The sheriff pointed. "You drove clear through that stop sign." "I know it," Lester told him. "I never stopped for that one." Lester avoided small talk. Yups, nopes, not much for goodbyes. You'd look toward the end of the driveway where he'd parked his Plymouth and notice it was gone. An established Norwegian bachelor farmer, a youngest brother. Lester never left home, never changed bedrooms, farmed that 160 the rest of his life. He played cribbage at the cafe, watched TV by the stove. At 85, he clarified with infamous brevity why he'd never married. Too expensive. At his own funeral, attendance inescapable, he was buttoned into suit and tie with everyone watching. No one thought to let him wear his cap. Grandpa's living will. Don't call an ambulance. Grandma called at supper. Dad's had a stroke. You better get up here. We left our plates on the table and got in the car. 20 minutes later, we pulled into the dooryard. Grandpa sat where he fell, back against the sofa, clenched a paper tissue in the hand that still worked, scrubbed at the carpet where he'd pissed his overalls. On a farm, what lives dies in plain view, by accident, harvest, or slaughter. Grandpa figured hospitals for the slaughterhouse. Once inside, you didn't come out. Grandma only called the truck for sick cattle. Dad made the call. Had no compact with Grandpa about hospitals. It felt okay, already too late. I sat on the floor beside him, close like when I was little. He couldn't speak, but his eyes were big, crescents of white in the corner, like a steer's pulled up the ramp. I heard feet as Grandma opened the door, scrambled out of the way. Grandpa looked up at the EMTs, then down, wiped at the wet spot with his tissue. Hauled out through the kitchen on a stretcher, he grabbed the table leg. He wasn't coming back. but didn't want to leave like this, gone to market. Grandpa's birth control. No toothbrush. Boiled coffee. Decades of Copenhagen. A mouth not even a grandmother could kiss. New in-laws. The Texan cornered Uncle Lester at the wedding, bragged that it took him from sunrise to sunset to drive across his farm. Yeah, Lester said, I got a car like that too. Nola's dad. The night Nola's dad died, he fell down and hit the back of his head. That's not what killed him. It was the drinking and smoking, the one lung, the weak heart, and the cirrhosis of the liver. The doc told him if he kept drinking like that, he'd be dead in 5 years. Nola's mom kept track. 4 years, 3 years. Gene, you got 2 years to live. They lived on opposite ends of a trailer. It was cheaper than a divorce. They'd paid it off, and they didn't need much space anyway. Had their own televisions and recliners in each end. When Nola's mom found him dead that morning in bed, he'd outlived his prognosis by 5 years, and she figured, all things considered, he couldn't complain. When the cops showed up, they discovered blood on his pillow and wrapped a crime scene ribbon around the trailer. In the back of the squad car, Nola's mom got the 3rd degree. Did you argue last night? Of course, she replied. We argued every night. The weight. Mom smokes cigarettes on the deck, winter and summer. She's a great believer in the powers of tobacco. Would never quit, says smoking makes life worth living, cushions each hour. Shoveling the deck after the blizzard, I uncover coffee cans overflowing soggy brown butts into the snow. From the railing hangs a plastic tote bag where she's dumped the cans that came before. The white sack sags brownly with the weight of her habit. Mom's an eat-off-the-floor type of housekeeper, a follow behind you with a mop kind of mom. This doesn't follow. I want to ask if I should toss it in the trash, but realize it's no oversight. She's building a monument. With each cigarette, she feels the immensity, experiences the magnitude, knows the exact weight of what it takes to live through each day of her life. Why I live in Northeast. I just salvaged a pile of canvas army tents from the boulevard on trash day. That night I set them up in the backyard to see if they had all their parts. A massive khaki wall tent rose from the grass like a musty camel, and I'd only stepped back from the Vietnam-era jungle hammock hung between 2 trees when a neighbor leaned over the fence and asked, "You having guests?" Thank you. It's called Cat Fan. The roofer asked, "Is that your big orange cat?" "He's great. I love cats. I got 2. One's 27. "Pounds?" I asked. "No, years. 2 things they need. 1, don't let them get too big. 2, make sure they got plenty of water. Do that, and there's no stopping them. My 18-year-old got in a fight with a coon. It messed him up, but he dragged the sucker home. His ear was just hanging. I had to take a needle and thread and sew it back on for him. God, I love cats. This is my last one here. It's called Rapture Pet Insurance. You should get some. The Department of the Interior has mellowed in the years following James Watt. Though they still believe a rapture is imminent and retain a pirate's eye for landscape, they've agreed to not completely savage the environment for short-term gain. The rapture will disengage all believers from this contested stone, deliver them to paradise. It's like going on a holiday and remembering that pan of brownies on the table as you lock the door. Leave them for the mice? Common sense says binge. Scorched earth all the way. Why leave a single crumb for the Antichrist? But they've chosen to walk the Good Samaritan's walk, raise a salute to their non-believing fellow citizens to consider our welfare. They've chosen to not clear-cut every forest or strip mine all hillsides. They're going to leave us a few spotted owls and snail darters, bison and whooping cranes, along with a load of starlings, buckthorn and canary grass. And they're right, too. In Satan's 1,000-year reign of terror and judgment, we're going to need natural resources, fire departments and disaster insurance, sunscreen and bottled water. While all this retribution is being exacted on the tortured souls of the earth, I'll still have a mortgage to pay, a job to get to. My bills aren't going away because a bunch of Republicans go to heaven. I say, repay the favor in a spirit of free enterprise. Build a little nest egg for the apocalypse. Rapture Pet Insurance. Believers, have you considered the welfare of your pets? When your child wonders, does Kitty go to heaven? How do you answer? Any fundamentalist knows animals are soulless beings barred from the pearly gates. God appointed you custodians of the world. Want to watch your dog abandoned, nosing through trash cans and alleyways? What's the household pet plan when God comes for your family? Why not invest in some Rapture Pet Insurance? Can you imagine your pet sodomized by Gomorrheans, flayed and sacrificed in their godless rituals? Wouldn't you feel more comfortable knowing a good-hearted pagan was caring for little Fifi? Who could better protect your pet from the predations of the damned than some tree-hugging vegetarian? Buy Rapture Pet Insurance. The damned will be there when you can't.